Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with these nerds.
Nathan Nerdarch.
Nerdarchy Ted.
And today we do a character build where we build the Knight of the Song.
Jump down the description below, sign up where you can sign up for Nerdarchy newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So recently we had a request come in for a character build over on Facebook. I believe it was Zeke that sent that in, and he wants us to build a Paladin Bard. And oddly enough, we've kind of like dabbled in this many years ago in our original Ulfganya campaign setting, and essentially back then you could not multi-class paladins, but we kind of made like a rule for our campaign where if you were of a specific deity, you can multi-class from paladin into certain bard or into certain classes. And we did have one that was bard, and that was our god of beauty and music and song. It was a fae god that was Belize. And I had come up with this idea of the Knights of the Order of the Song, and they were Paladin bards. So that would be easy to reconstruct in 5th edition. We don't have to worry about certain things anymore. But there's also a lot of other different things that you could go with, I believe, with this. So we're going to talk a little bit about some ideas. We're going to just kick them back and forth.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about Belize, that's a nature deity, that's a fae deity. This would absolutely, easily work into an Oath of the Ancients. If you didn't want to make, an Oath of the Song as a separate thing.
Yeah, that would absolutely work out well. Oath of the Ancients, this already has the Fae influence. I also feel like Devotion would work for that Order of Knighthood as well. If you wanted to detach it from like that specific deity.
Right. But I feel that if you're going with a Paladin Bard, Oath of Vengeance doesn't really feel apropos.
I did have something that kind of came to mind. Like if you were gonna go with like the dirge, like a dirge singer type bard, where you wanted to go a little bit darker, a little more goth,
Little like Grim Reaper feel.
Yeah. I think you could maybe pull something off, but yeah, it doesn't quite fit as naturally as the other two.
Judge Dredd the musical.
I mean, technically, this is a game where all possibilities, are there as long as you can come up with something that is justifiable. So if you can make it work, by all means, make it work.
So first of all, let's just look at the things that are going to matter for this kind of a build. So obviously, charisma is going to be really important.
Yes.
That's one of the things we're going to want to think about. The other thing is, bards are a full caster, paladins are not. So this tells us something. It tells us whatever level we go to in Paladin, we want it to be an even number. I know whenever we do builds, we're always looking at, those blocks of 4 levels anyway, because you want to try and get, the most amount of stat bumps or feats. Mm-hmm. So these are going to be factors. Also, I think we're going to need We're going to need quite a few ability scores for our Paladin Bard as well. We're probably going to need 3 instead of the normal 2. Multi-classing rules, you're going to need strength, you're going to need charisma. You're going to have 13 in both of those. The other thing to look at is what you're going to get when you multi-class. If you want to use heavy armor, then you really should go Paladin first. If not, you're stuck at medium armor. Right. Although I believe you were talking about some ideas before the video.
Yeah, I was thinking that I don't necessarily always feel like full plate's a uniform requirement for Paladin, so I like the idea of going half plate, doing the medium armor mastery, getting that 16 dex, being a dex fighter, so you're going to use lighter weapons with a shield rather than using like a two-handed weapon or something. And that way you're going to be getting a high AC, and then you can also use a shield, so you're looking at a 19 to 21 armor class. So altogether, what I would go with. You still need the 13 though to be the multi-class Paladin. So, I mean, you're not a pushover, but, I mean, you can't be a Paladin with 8 strength isn't very attractive thought-wise to me. So, I'd say, having a 13, it's a sacrifice, but...
Well, all right, so let's start putting it together. Okay, so if we're not worried about doing the heavy armor, then you could literally go Bard first. You're going to be more skill-heavy. But that being said, if you go Paladin first, you do get a bonus skill just for multi-classing into Bard.
So Bard starts off with 4 skills, right?
3.
3?
Of any.
Okay, so either way you're going to get the 3. Because Paladin's going to give you 2. You get 1 for multi-classing off a Bard. So
you'll have nicer weapon selection, because I would think we would go Bard of Lore instead of Bard of Valor. So
but you're going to get the weapons and armor from both
From
classes.
Paladin.
Yes.
Paladin.
And here's the thing, like, how do you want to do it? Like, if you're going human, you could start off right at first level and feel like a bard and a paladin. Like, if you use the optional rules, you could take Magic Initiate Bard, and you could have access to a spell and 2 cantrips from your Bard class. You'd be a paladin. So then what that would allow you to do kind of is delay taking Bard levels, so that you still can say you're the thing, and still function. Because, to me, I feel like 3rd level would be the level to take your first Bard level in, because you want to get if you're a paladin, you want to get the smite, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, you have access to heavy armor. You don't necessarily have to wear it. Now that's if you go the human route. If you go half elf route, which would be my other pick, then it's going to be a little bit different, because you're not going to get that feat to play with. And it's also both of those options are going to bump up your skills as well. So you're going to be a skill heavy character.
So the other thing to look at is, depending upon what you mean by the word bard, if you want to forego the actual casting of spells that you would get from Magic Initiate, you could take half elf. You could take the performer or the entertainer background, so that you're already, you have a background of performing in whatever loads of musical instruments or things that you want to do. You've already got that. And you could wear your medium armor, you could have your decent decks, and off you go as your half-elf paladin that is flavored, especially if you go with Oath of the Ancients to be more Fey-like, because you want to be more Fey-like. You're a half-elf, you really want to be more elven, more Fey. I think all of that would work for me.
Although, being human, you could do the same exact thing and have a little bit of the spell casting.
True.
So, I mean, they're both viable options, is all I'm saying.
Yes. Mm-hmm. But I like the +2 to charisma.
You would. No, absolutely. It does make sense. And, the hard thing about building, a character like this is always going to be the stat distribution. And like, where are you going to, like, if you're just using a standard array, where are you going to put your dump stat? Like, this character doesn't feel like you should have any.
Right.
So we're going to have to, like, put it in con or something.
Well, what you could wind up doing is, rather than do with the standard point array, you do the point buy, and you have, like, your 12s, 10s, and 13s.
Yeah, you might not have 16s to start with. They might be more like the median. And also, like, this build really lends itself to taking feats as well. So
yes.
that's another issue-ish, because you already discussed, the moderate armor master is a good one if you're going to go with not wearing heavy armor.
Yeah, and that's going to give you a stat bump as well. So pretty much feats that give you a benefit as well as a stat bump will be a nice combination for this.
Right, and unfortunately that one does not.
Doesn't.
No, I found that out the hard way, folks. But what it does do for you is it takes away disadvantage from stealth checks when wearing armor, and it gives you can use 1 more point of dex.
The one that gives you medium armor access gives you a stat bump.
Correct.
Yes. I
Yes.
mixed them up.
Yeah, so now if you're making a nature-based paladin, perhaps stealth might be something you want to consider going with. So getting rid of the disadvantage on stealth checks, not too bad, especially if you're already doing a high dex, build.
Right, and whether you go half elf or you go human, you're going to have more skills to use anyway. If you go half elf, you go paladin at first level, you're looking at 5 skills. You're going to pick up another skill from. Oh, that's not even right, is it?
You get 2 skills for half elf, 2 skills for paladin.
Right, it's 4, and then you're
going to get whatever you're going to get from your background.
Then you're going to get whatever you're going to get from your background. And then if you pick up bard, you're going to get another skill of your choice, and you're going to get a musical instrument as well. So you're going to be a super skill-heavy paladin. So it's going to be a fun character, but it's not going to be like the typical paladin. It's not going to be super optimized. You're going to be you're going to be decent at doing a bunch of stuff.
Well, you'll have a lot of things to do in downtime and interacting with characters. You're going to be decent at you can be a face character. You can be the person that kind of like settles issues and things, inter-party stuff. And you can play music and sing songs and stuff.
Now, I think we also settled on College of Lore.
Yes.
Absolutely. If you're mixing up with Paladin, the College of Valor doesn't really offer much in the way, like, oh yeah, I get access to more weapons and more armor that I already have. Oh, I can actually get a second attack, which I already get from Paladin.
You're gonna get the best stuff from being a Paladin from the College of Valor already, but getting access to new spells is going to be super helpful. You know, the toughest part about this build as a Paladin Bard is going to be, do I smite or do I cast spells? Yeah. You know, because you're going to have the options of doing both. Now, I would say if you're going high enough into being a College of Valor Bard, War Magic would become a little bit more attractive because you would be able to cast spells and smite in the same round. That would be a little bit interesting, but it would take a high investment. You're talking like 14 levels of Bard, and then, you know, top 6 levels of Paladin. So depending on how you saw it split up, and it's probably not worth the doubling up you're going to do between Valor and the Paladin class features anyway.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'd be more like an 8-12 split, maybe 8 Bard, 12 Paladin, or vice versa.
But, you know, either way you do it, it's going to be fun. So you're leaning towards Entertainer for background?
I just think, especially if you want to start off as a Paladin, Entertainer is going to give you the much more bardic feel. But I mean, if you want to mix it up with, I'm going to take Magic Initiate to get my spells, you could literally put whatever else you want in its place.
Yeah, I feel like Noble and Folk Hero, for some reason, they kind of speak to me a little bit. Possibly Hermit. So there is a lot of fun ways to go, but if we're going to build this one, you know, Entertainer's a nice way to go. You know, Half Elf is going to give you the stats to kind of spread out so you can have a good, nice medium. You're not going to have super high stats probably, but you're not going to have any dumb stats either, so that's kind of nice. You know, I would probably bum rush to my Smite with Paladin. I've got my other stuff that kind of makes me feel like a Bard. And then, you know, and then from there, go into the Bard and you know, probably try and get to my college first, and then go back to Paladin, and then kind of like maybe a 1-from-1 from there on out.
That works for me.
I think that's a good split.
So, what do you guys think? How would you build a Paladin Bard in 5e? Why don't you continue that discussion down in the comments below? While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
You can follow us over on Twitter at Nerdarchy.
You also patronize us in a good way over on Patreon.
So until next time, stay nerdy.
Enough, we've kind of like dabbled in this many years ago in our original Ulthganya campaign setting, and essentially back then you could not multi-class Paladins, but we kind of made like a rule for our campaign where if you were of a specific deity, you can multi-class from Paladin into certain Bard, or into certain classes, and we did have one that was Bard, and that was our god of beauty.
It's a Fey deity. This would absolutely, easily work into an Oath of the Ancients, if you didn't want to make, an Oath of the Song as a separate thing.
Yeah, that would absolutely work out well. Oath of the Ancients, this already has the Fey influence. I also feel like Devotion would work for Order of Knighthood as well. If you wanted to detach it from like that specific deity.
Right. But I feel that if you're going
and music and song, it was a Fey god that was Belize, and I had come up with this idea of the Knights of the Order of the Song, and they were Paladin bards. So that would be easy to reconstruct in 5th edition. We don't have to worry about certain things anymore. But there's also a lot of other different things that you could go with, I believe, with this. So we're going to talk a little bit of some ideas. We're going to just kick them back and forth.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about Belize, that's a nature deity.
Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with these nerds.
Nathan Nerdarch.
Nerdarchist Ted.
And today we do a character build where we build the Knight of the Song.
Jump down the description below, sign up where you can sign up for Nerdarchy newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So recently we had a request come in for a character build over on Facebook. I believe it was Zeke that sent that in, and he wants us to build a Paladin Bard. And
Going with a Paladin Bard, Oath of Vengeance doesn't really feel apropos.
I did had something that kind of came to mind. Like if you were gonna go with like the dirge, like a dirge singer type bard, where you wanted to go a little bit darker, a little more goth.
Little like Grim Reaper feel.
Yeah. I think you could maybe pull something off, but yeah, it doesn't quite fit as naturally as the other two.
Judge Dredd the musical.
I mean, technically, this is a game where